Captain Marvel is currently taking Hollywood by storm, with Brie Larson's Carol Danvers proving very popular in movie theaters around the world. In this video, we'll be looking at some of the unanswered questions regarding the MCU's Captain Marvel as her next appearance in Avengers Endgame rapidly approaches. What happened to Goose? Goose was, of course, the cat-like character and the pet of Annette Bening's Wendy Lawson, who was actually a member of a dangerous alien race called the Flerkin. Having been called Chewie in the comics, she was named after the character of the same name from Top Gun in the MCU. Now, Flerkins may look like cats, but their bodies actually house pocket dimensions that hide a deadly secret. Goose illustrated this fact on a couple of occasions when she opened her mouth to reveal a swarm of massive tentacles, which she used to ensnare her victims, who she then swallowed whole. She also swallowed the Tesseract to keep it out of the hands of the Kree. And the last we saw of her was in the movie's post-credits scene, when she caught the Infinity Stone up in Nick Fury's office. So where is she now? Is she still alive? Why haven't we seen her in any other MCU movies Fury's been in? Will we see her again? If not, will she even be acknowledged? And would the likes of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers be told that it was Goose who caused Fury to lose his sight in his left eye?
How does Fury even see these?
Why didn't the Kree experiment on Veers? Captain Marvel was an origin story for the titular hero, so of course it showed us how Carol Danvers came to possess her incredible powers. After her plane crash in 1989, she used Mar-Vell's Kree pistol to blow up the Lightspeed engine to prevent the Kree from obtaining it, and the resulting explosion infused her with the energy from the Tesseract, which was the engine's power source. Prior to that, it was made apparent that Yon-Rogg wanted the engine's power source, which he initially believed was the engine itself. But rather bizarrely, once the Kree kidnapped Danvers, who had amnesia at the time, and brought her to their homeworld of Hala, they didn't do any tests on her to unlock the secrets of the Tesseract's power. Why the heck not? It really made no sense. They had the power they wanted right in front of them, or at least remnants of it that could have been useful to them, and they ignored it completely. Why did the Kree suppress Veers' powers? Jude Law's Yon-Rogg kept Veers in line by repeatedly telling her that he wanted her to be the best version of herself. The idea of that was to prevent her from seeking out the answers to the questions that plagued her existence and haunted her dreams, in order for him to ensure she maintained the persona of a Kree warrior. But since the Kree were utilizing her as a weapon anyway, why on earth did they suppress her powers to only allow her access to a fraction of it? She could have been even more valuable to Star Force, and indeed to the Kree's war with the Skrulls, if she could have used her full abilities. Yes, they may have been worried that in the event of her regaining her memories, she might rebel with her full-powered potential unlocked, but there was never any real danger of that happening while she was on the Kree's home planet. It took her seeing the redacted files about herself at Project Pegasus and a recording of her crash from a black box for her memories to return, which was never going to happen on Hala. Are any Skrulls still on Earth? In Captain Marvel, the iconic green shape-shifting aliens known as the Skrulls were finally introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fans had known that was the case for quite some time, which led to a lot of people believing that a secret invasion movie would be on the cards in Phase 4 of the franchise. However, in what turned out to be a very unexpected twist, the Skrulls were revealed to be the good guys in the movie, which in turn seemed to rule out the idea of a secret invasion movie. But Marvel Studios head honcho Kevin Feige has since said that secret invasion is still possible in the future in the MCU, citing the fact that, like any other race or species, the Skrulls have both good and bad individuals amongst their ranks. So with that in mind, it leaves us with the question of whether or not there are still any Skrulls on Earth in the MCU, and if so, are any of them posing as any established characters in the franchise? Could we even see them in Avengers Endgame? And it would undoubtedly create one of the biggest shocks in the MCU's history if it turns out that a major character has been a Skrull all along. Is Monica Rambeau destined to be a superhero? One of the most important supporting characters in Captain Marvel was Maria Rambeau, the good friend of Carol Danvers, who was played by Lashana Lynch, but another was her young daughter Monica, who was played by Akira Akbar. Now, in the comics, Monica Rambeau is the alter ego of a superhero who has gone by the names Captain Marvel, Pulsar, Spectrum, and perhaps most pertinently, Photon. In the Captain Marvel movie, Maria's mother's call sign in the US Air Force was Photon, so could it be that was foreshadowing her daughter taking on that name and becoming a superhero in the MCU? If she does appear, will it be as early as Avengers Endgame? Will we have to wait for the inevitable Captain Marvel sequel? Or could she even get a movie of her own? We'll have to wait and see. Why is Carol Danvers so powerful? Rather than the exploding psych magnetron granting her amazing abilities like it did in the comics, Danvers' powers come from the exploding lightspeed engine, which was powered by the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone. We're told Danvers is the most powerful superhero in the MCU, and that the limits of her amazing powers haven't yet been fully addressed. But there are other Avengers who are imbued with abilities via Infinity Stones. Vision literally has the Mind Stone in his head, while Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver both gained their powers from the same stone. While none of their limits have been established, especially not those of Scarlet Witch, we've explicitly been told that Danvers is more powerful than them. But why is that actually the case? Is the Space Stone a more powerful Infinity Stone than the Mind Stone? If not, shouldn't all Infinity Stone-powered characters be equal in terms of their power levels? More to the point, shouldn't Vision, who has an actual Infinity Stone rather than merely having powers derived from one, dwarf Danvers in terms of power? Hopefully Avengers Endgame will shed some light on the discrepancy between Captain Marvel's Infinity Stone-based powers and those of other characters. Just how powerful is Carol Danvers? So far, she's demonstrated superhuman strength of a relatively decent level. But her most impressive strength feat was punching through the hulls of Kree ships. She can also fly, and speed-wise, she's got fairly impressive reflexes. But her flight speed allows her to reach the speed of light at its full capacity. Most impressive, however, are her energy manipulation powers. She can fire powerful blasts and use the energy that flows through her to increase her physical attributes, as well as survive in the depths of space without any breathing equipment. Of course, that's all great, but it really isn't as powerful as what we've seen the likes of Thor and Doctor Strange do up to now. So, based on the fact we've been told that she's the most powerful hero in the MCU, just how powerful is Captain Marvel? Well, hopefully Avengers Endgame will answer that question, and maybe we'll see her doing things like traveling through time under her own power, like Samuel L. Jackson has suggested she can.
I understood that reference.
Why didn't Nick Fury call Carol Danvers before? One of the absolute biggest questions that Captain Marvel left us with was why Nick Fury left it until moments before he dusted in Avengers Infinity War to call Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel ended with Danvers handing Fury a modified pager and telling him to contact her in case of an emergency. Now, since the two characters went their separate ways in the mid-90s, the Earth has come under attack from Loki and his Chitauri army. Moreover, there's also been a Hydra's uprising and a variety of other incidents involving superpowered bad guys. So why didn't Fury consider any of these events emergencies? And how did he know the events of Infinity War were worth contacting Carol Danvers over, based on the brief events he witnessed in that post-credits scene? Well, we don't really know, but it could be that Doctor Strange or somebody else traveled back in time to before the events of the first Avengers movie to inform Fury of what was required to win in each scenario. If that's the case, Fury would have known the Avengers would defeat the likes of Loki and Ultron.
I'm just supposed to take your word for that.
And it'll be interesting rewatching those movies knowing that Fury was already aware of their outcomes. Where's Carol Danvers been for 20 years? At the end of Captain Marvel, two events were set up, but it's unclear if either of them ever happened. Before Ronan departed, he swore that he'd return to Earth to capture Carol Danvers, or the woman as he called her. Then when Danvers sent Jan Rog back to Hala, she told him to tell the Supreme Intelligence that she was coming to end the war. But did those things end up happening? Danvers' first move was to assist Talos and the Skrulls in finding a new home, by heading off into the cosmos with them at light speed. So what has she been doing since she departed Earth more than 2 decades ago back in 1995? Hopefully the events of the 20-plus year gap of Captain Marvel's adventures in outer space will be addressed in either Avengers Endgame, or the inevitable Captain Marvel sequel we'll get in a few years' time.
So cool.
What's the deal with Thor? Okay, so for this one, we're not referring to a question left by the Captain Marvel movie, but a question about Captain Marvel's appearance in the recent Avengers Endgame trailer. Chris Hemsworth's character came face-to-face with Brie Larson's and called Stormbreaker to his hand. But she didn't even flinch. In fact, she simply smiled at Thor, and the God of Thunder seemed impressed to say the least.
I like this one.
So, is the relationship between this powerful pair important? They're both notably missing from the scene in which the surviving heroes suit up for a mission to, presumably, either the quantum realm or space. So maybe they go off on a mission of their own. Perhaps it's a mission that requires the most powerful heroes to carry it out. Or could there even be a budding romance between the two? It would be appropriate, given that they're the two most powerful heroes, and Jane Foster isn't on the scene anymore. What questions do you have regarding Captain Marvel in the build-up to Avengers Endgame? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Screen Rant for more great videos just like this one. We'll see you next time, guys.